Nixie, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well. Hopefully you had some nice comforting days. At least I've had. Spend them with my family. So, however, even though I really like Christmas celebrations, I kind of miss having all of those games on Boxing Day. It's a bit disappointing that it's just this one game, even though it's a great game for tomorrow, but it used to be a lot of games on the 26th, right? I'm not really sure why there's only one game played tomorrow. Let me know in the chat if you have any reasoning for this. So my dilemma ahead of game week 18 is definitely what to do about Bruno Fernandes. I've decided I will most probably sell him, but who to bring in? I have some options. It's in the poll, so go help out in the poll if you're interested. And I guess I'm not alone with the Bruno Fernandes conundrum ahead of game week 18. I had, soon out from FPL a bit since I made moves on Saturday. Been hit by 2 injuries after that. I've seen a couple of FPL managers actually going early, probably because of the celebrations and Christmas holiday, stuff like that. Went a bit early with their transfers and actually got burnt. Stian, what's up, bud? All good, all good. Are you ready for game week 18? I'm not yet ready. I need to do something with Bruno Fernandes. Head over to the poll and give a vote for the best Bruno Fernandes replacements. And if you have any other better candidates, let me know in the chat. Frankie Shankly, take a -4 to bring in Ekitike for Mateta. Well, if you think that Ekitike will do well against Wolves, it's probably worth a -4. It's not like Mateta has been doing well recently, so -4 for Ekitike. It's probably worth it. What I'm leaning towards at the moment is actually to sell Bruno Fernandes, and my replacement will most probably be Anthony Gordon, because this will let me upgrade Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen next game week. But we'll have a look at some other options as well. I would sell Thiago and Bruno to Ekitike and Morgan Rogers. My favorite replacement is Rice, but you already have. Yeah, Rice is a really good option at the moment, not only because he did well in game week 17. I think it's the whole package for Rice. He will play most minutes on corners, free kicks. Can pick up defensive contribution points as well. FPL Cortex, evening people. Sandri, hi, thanks for joining in. Jack, would you sell? I would sell Thiago and Bruno Fernandes to Ekitike and Morgan Rogers. The thing is that Morgan Rogers, I'm not really sure if he can continue delivering. I think there are better options in midfield, to be honest, going forward. Aston Villa, they have some really tough fixtures, and I've seen the Rogers goals, really, really good goals, but it's not like he has been getting a lot of chances. Not really sure, to be honest. So at the moment, Morgan Rogers is probably 5th on my watch list for midfielders and Bruno replacements at the moment. FPL Cortex, I sold Thiago and Bruno for Cunha and Ekitike with 2 free transfers. Nice. You probably had some funds available in the bank. At the moment, I actually have 2 free transfers, but 0 in the bank, so I can't do those moves. I think it looks really good on paper. Bruno to Cunha, Thiago to Ekitike. However, I kind of like Thiago for game week 18. After having a look at the stats and having a look at the bookies' predictions ahead of game week 18, Thiago, he is actually third for the bookies' anytime goal scorer this game week for their home game against Bournemouth, though. I think, like we saw in game week 17, Foltemada, he was one of the most sold players ahead of game week 17. He scored a brace. Hopefully, this can happen again with Thiago. I have Tavernier and Vandenberg. Will I play Tavernier and bench Vandenberg or vice versa? So who to start from Vandenberg and Tavernier? Ooh. Probably bench Vandenberg, the defender, even though they play at home. I think I would go Tavernier because of set pieces. Frankie Shankly, I sold Fernandes for Rodgers. Cunha was considered, but I was concerned about how United's offensive play will be affected without their captain. Yeah, I kind of agree, and this is one of the reasons why, Frankie, I'm leaning towards bringing in Anthony Gordon, because I think that Bruno, he is essential for Man United. Will they manage to do well again? I'm not really sure. It's like he's playing every minute and has done for many seasons. So how will Man United be affected by losing 3 of their most creative players? So top 3 for chances created for Man United so far this season is actually Ahmad, Mbumo, and Bruno Fernandes. None of them will play against Newcastle in game week 18. Man United, they might actually struggle this game week. Apparently, Bournemouth conceded 10.77 expected goals to strikers this season so far. Yeah, I've seen these stats as well over on X. But it's like I've seen those posts so far this season, and it's like every game week it's the striker that will potentially benefit. So I have decided I will keep Thiago. I was tempted by selling Bruno Fernandes and Thiago. My replacements would probably be something like Jared Bowen, Anthony Gordon. Potentially I could go a bit lower and go for Ekitike, but I think he's a really good option, so I'm a bit jealous. If I had an easier way to get Ekitike, I would probably bring him in this game week. A really good fixture for Liverpool, playing at home against Wolves, obviously. So he might actually be a captain contender as well. I did Guardiola, Fernandes, and Raul to O'Reilly, Cunha, and Ekitike. 3 transfers. Those really good transfers, to be honest. Sandri, Guardiola, Fernandes, Raul, O'Reilly, Cunha, Ekitike. So ultimately, of course, I would just keep Guardiola, but obviously this is because you needed some funds for the upgrade from Raul Jimenez to Ekitike. So hopefully for you it will pay off. I still think that Guardiola is a really good option, probably the best option from the Man City defense, but it's not that much between them. So it's probably worth it, seeing that you can upgrade Raul Jimenez to Ekitike. Aston Villa got the second best fixture when we hit week 20, so let's Let's have a quick look. Aston Villa, yeah, they actually have some decent fixtures. It's just the next couple of fixtures in game week 18. They play away against Chelsea, and then they have Arsenal away as well. So 2 really, really tough fixtures for Aston Villa coming up. But as mentioned in the chats from Frag, they have some good fixtures from game week 20 and onwards. Chelsea as well, really good fixtures from game week 21. So there are a couple of fixture swings happening. And this is the reason why I'm a bit tempted to just use one transfer this game week. Having 2 transfers heading into game week 19 might be a good idea. It's a quick turnaround between game week 18 and game week 19 as well, so we might get some news about players being rested or injuries, and there's still some players on 4 yellow cards that might get their 5th yellow and suspension as well. Orange Apple, hey lad, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well. Thanks for joining in. Would you prioritize Szoboszlai replacement or Richards replacement, and who for? I definitely think that replacing Szoboszlai is probably the most urgent issue, to be honest, because there are so many good players in midfield at the moment. You probably only have one available spot in midfield, while in defense you can potentially have a couple of players that can stand in for Richards if needed. Players like Mukiele or Rodon, Gudmundsson. Aishan Trucks, I sent my team, please check. I will in a minute. So if you're interested, head over to X, post a picture of your team under my latest post, and I'll get your team up on the screen. Can you have a look on my team and my mini league? I will. Sundry Newcastle fixtures turn really good now, and United definitely is one. Yeah, I think that potentially in game week 18, the fixture against Man United could be a good fixture for Newcastle. Even though the game is played at Old Trafford, I think that Newcastle can do well in this one. Jack Grealish. I think Jack Grealish is a decent punt at the moment considering the fixtures. Everton as well. As mentioned, we have some teams. Chelsea, Aston Villa, Everton as well. They have some really good fixtures coming up. So I think that in some cases, fixtures can actually create form. So Jack Grealish, we saw this at the start of the season as well, was like 4 assists in his first 2 games, something like that. He was actually close to scoring in a couple of those games as well. So ahead of game week 5 or game week 6, Jack Grealish, he was actually the most transferred in player. It was like 1.4 million transfers, something like that. Richards' injury was not as serious as it looked on TV. I didn't catch any time frame on Richards' return, to be honest, but we might have had some updates after I last checked earlier this morning, but probably not, since it's the 25th of December. But at that price, it's probably better to just keep Richards on the bench, even though if he's out for a couple of game weeks. Kind of depends on the budget for a Szoboszlai replacement as well, though. How much? Richards was off on a stretcher. Surely he doesn't play. I think he will miss game week 18, to be honest, but I've also read rumors about the injury not being that severe as first thought. So the early reports from the injury said that he might potentially actually miss the World Cup, and this is like 6 months away, so hopefully that's not true. I've also read that it wasn't that serious and he might potentially be back after New Year's Eve, so it's kind of hard to tell at the moment. Yeah, maybe back from game week 19, 20. Yeah, that's my guess, but I have to be honest, it's just guesswork at the moment. I haven't really read anything concrete. The first reports, as mentioned, was some worried about his participation in the World Cup, but I think it's not that serious. Yeah, so this Instagram post says it won't be long. Yeah. So certainly there are rumors about Richard's injury. Hopefully we will get more after this game, but I definitely think that having Richards on the bench for a game week, that's just fine. I would probably prioritize selling Soboslai, to be honest, but let me know how much we'll have for a Soboslai replacement. So we'll have a look at a couple of teams. Give me a minute, need to refresh this. FPL FOMO. 6 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago, so this was first. Playbell as well. So don't have any idea what to do. 0.7 in the bank and 1 free transfer. Please help. So let's have a look at this team. It's Raya in goal, Timber, Shalaba, and Ballard, Guehi, Rice, Phil Foden, Gravenberch, a potentially injured Wilson, but I personally think that he will be fine. Ekitike and Erling Haaland up front, with Thiago on the bench. Who should I take out? I got 1 free transfer. I definitely think that I would actually start Thiago instead of Guehi or potentially Ballard. I would replace Bruno Fernandes as well. I think you're kind of in a similar situation to me. I think the best replacements for Bruno Fernandes personally at the moment, seeing that you already have Rice, I think I would go for one out of Gordon, Cunha or Wirtz. You already have Gravenberch, you already have Ekitike, so probably Bruno Fernandes to Anthony Gordon. Play Gordon, play Thiago, bench Ballard or Guehi. Yeah, also Bruno Guimaraes, another really good option. I just kind of prefer Anthony Gordon since I have the funds. It's only 0.3 more. I think Bruno Guimaraes is 7 million while Anthony Gordon is 7.3. So I think the penalties for Anthony Gordon is probably worth the 0.3 upgrade for me at the moment. I think that Anthony Gordon, even though he hasn't played full 90 minutes, I think that the minutes that he has been on the pitch, he has actually looked pretty decent. Nixie Gordon is on penalties too. Yeah. We've seen this both in the Premier League and the Champions League as well. Even though if Foltmade is on the pitch, Anthony Gordon has taken them for Newcastle. Sold Bruno Guimaraes this week. Ballard always gets a clean sheet when I bench him, though. I know the feeling, but I think that considering his price is probably a better feeling having Ballard with the clean sheets on the bench. It's not a big threat to your rank, while Thiago, on the other hand, as you can see in the graphics on the right hand side for top 3 anytime goal scorers. So these are not my predictions, it's actually taken from the bookies. So Erling Haaland is the favorite, Ekitike is second, while Thiago, he is actually on top 3 with 43% chance of a goal in game week 18. So benching Thiago, I can see why people are selling Thiago to bring in Ekitike, but putting Thiago on the bench, I can see this ends in tears, to be honest. So with this team, my advice would be to actually find a Bruno Fernandes replacement and probably start Thiago. Bruno Guimaraes will be less attacking active compared to Gordon. Definitely Gordon is much more attacking. He's playing on the left wing for Newcastle, while Bruno Guimaraes is kind of an 8, but he can easily get defensive contributions. He's on some set pieces as well. So I think that Bruno Guimaraes is actually still a decent option. Is Anthony Gordon worth the 0.3 upgrade? At least I think so. Ekitike, captain, a good option. I think he is a decent shout for game week 18, considering the fixture, playing at home against Wolves. Of course, he has been overperforming his expected goal, just like Morgan Rogers, but I think the fixture is really, really good, and he might potentially be on penalties as well. Thiago in, Chalobah bench. Yeah, probably I definitely would start Thiago with this team. Chalobah on the bench is another shout, to be honest. So Chalobah, Ballard, or Guehi on the bench. Thiago in. I would not sell Thiago this game week. He is one of the most sold players. He's actually second, 800,000 transfers out. But I will definitely keep Thiago. I have decided to keep him. So let's have a look at a couple of other teams. So this is Playbell's team, 82 points in game week 17. Still a red arrow, now 107k. Got Cunha in for Bruno, Keane in for Collins. So transfers made with this team. Let's have a quick look. Raya Engel, Anderson, Timber, Keane. I really like Keane. I talked about Keane in my players to buy ahead of game week 18 as well. I think that considering the fixtures, both Jordan Pickford and Michael Keane, they are both good options going forward. Mukiele in the starting 11, Saka, Cunha, Semenyo, Phil Foden, and up front Erling Haaland and Thiago. Richards on the bench, Minthe as well. I would probably keep this team as it is, to be honest. I would start Mukiele over Minthe, and especially seeing that you have a double up on the Arsenal defense. So I think this team is good to go. Of course, we have been discussing Minthe, but no easy way to get Minthe. I'm sorry, Ekitike. No easy way to get him into this team without selling Thiago, and I think I would just... So this is a 4-4-2-3-5-2 formation team with Guiu on the bench, so I would definitely save a transfer or avoid a hit if I had this team ahead of the deadline. Grealish, a good shout. I have actually talked about Grealish 10 minutes ago. I think considering the fixtures, I think that those really good fixtures for Everton can create some form for Jack Grealish. So at that price, I think he's a solid option. I think that if you have more funds to invest, I really like Gordon. I think Wirtz is worth a punt considering Liverpool's fixtures as well. And Rice is a solid option. And of course, one of the most transferred in players, Cunha. I think that Cunha potentially might be on penalties for Man United now with both Bruno Fernandes and Mbumo not playing, but we're not 100% sure. Irish Peter, Merry Christmas, pal. Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining in. I think Palmer will get a form in next fixtures, especially from game week 21. I think that Cole Palmer and Chelsea have some really lovely fixtures coming up. I can actually see Chelsea do well in the next couple of fixtures as well. So they have 2 home games in game week 18 and game week 19, playing at home against Aston Villa, then at home against Bournemouth. And then they have a tough game in game week 20. Before the fixture turns really good from game week 21 and onwards. Henry, can have a look at my teammates. Yes, definitely. I saw you posted your team idea a bit up in the chat. Let me just scroll a bit up. Oops. So this was my team in game week 17. 76 points, red arrow for me. Not the best game week. Was kind of frustrating watching Erling Haaland hurt my rank, even though I had him as my captain. I had him captained, but used my triple captain on the fixture. Was it game week 5 against Burnley, where we got the same amount of points? 11, 30, 26. $85 points. Nice. $85 points for Sandri in game week 17. Green arrows in most of the leagues and of course in the rank as well. Well done. I can't get to Cunha. I'm up against the masses tomorrow. 78 points, red arrow for me last week. It's crazy. So you got 78 points and still a red arrow. Tough times. It's usually like this when Erling Haaland does well, right? Because his effective ownership in game week 17 was actually above 200%. So when he gets a brace and assist full bonus, it will be a lot of points all around. Have a look on my main league. Let's see. So Sandri, he has gone above the 1,000 points mark. Was that 1,049? 1,049 points this season. It's pretty solid. So Sandri, he was talking about this league ahead of game week 17 as well. Arsenal FC, that was like your rival, right? And he had some experience from playing the game earlier as well, but doesn't really look like he will catch you anytime soon. So I think the number 1 spot in your min league is kind of safe for now. I like to call Palmer an explosive player. He will explode anytime. Yeah, definitely. So we've seen this, that he can get like 4 assists in a game and score hat-tricks. So Cole Palmer, definitely a really, really explosive player. The problem with Cole Palmer so far this season is definitely the injuries. I started the season with Cole Palmer. He picked up an injury. Was it game week 2? I think. Potentially game week 1. Game week 1 or game week 2. I just recall that I had to transfer out Cole Palmer early this season. So can I join the league? Definitely. I think the league is probably in the description. If not, it's in the scrolling text at the bottom as well. And if you haven't done so already, please consider giving the stream a like and subscribe to the channel for more FPL content. So I make weekly team selection videos and I have streams like this the night before every deadline. So if you're interested, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, like 50k red arrow, back down to 1 million now. 50k red arrow with 78 points. That's kind of harsh. I still have Cole Palmer in my team and I captained him for game week 16. Nice game week 16. This was the game week he scored, right? So that was nice. Let's have a quick look. Cole Palmer. The only worry with Cole Palmer, of course, is the price 10.4. I would like to see some more from Cole Palmer before spending 10.4 million. Game week 16, yeah, but he only got 6 points though. Scored a goal. 6 points. A bit frustrating, of course, if you captain Cole Palmer in game week 16. The fact that he only played 57 minutes could have been a bit more. Of course. Will Hincapie play or not? We didn't get any concrete news as expected from Arteta. So I'm not really sure. I seen the predicted Arsenal starting 11 and he's in the predicted starting 11. So go follow Tommy Gunn on X. He's usually pretty accurate with his Arsenal starting 11 predictions ahead of every game. But Hincapie is in. Timber is playing on the right. So I'm hoping actually that Hincapie will be fine and start in game week 18. At least he's doing better than Salah and Saka. Definitely better than Salah. Saka has had some good game weeks himself, but I've seen a lot of managers selling Saka this game week as well to free up funds for the like of Ekitiki up front. I've seen that a lot of managers have sold Gui as well and gone for 4.5, 4.3 midfielder instead to change the structure of their team. At the moment, of course, Saka Is he worth 10.2? Probably not. I think Rice probably is better value. Definitely was in game week 17, but we saw in game week 16 that Saka has a lot of sources to points as well with those two. Maybe a bit lucky assists, but he picked up full bonus, and he has actually picked up defensive contribution points a couple of times so far this season as well. So Saka, is he worth 10.2? Probably not. Is he a sell at the moment? The answer to that is probably not. Thanks to Haaland, 94 and 95 points the last 2 game weeks. Saka think he's working a charity he gives. So this is FPL FOMO's team, a really interesting season for him. He has decided to limit himself to not own Erling Haaland nor Mo Salah so far. It's probably for the rest of the season as well, right? So a lot of team value, a lot of ups and downs. So if Erling Haaland does well, it's probably a red arrow. But every game week, Erling Haaland fails to score. It's potentially a really good game week for FPL FOMO. So Raya in goal, Van Dijk is in, Chalobah and Lacroix in midfields, Semenyo, Cole, Palmer, Saka, Cunha, Foden. So this is what you can do without Erling Haaland, right? Cole, Palmer, Bukayo Saka, Cunha, Phil Foden, and up front Ekitike and Jared Bowen. So a really, really good team on paper. So what's essentially needed when you play the game like this is that your captain does well and preferably outscores the high owned players like Erling Haaland. So if Ekitike can outscore Erling Haaland in game week 18, it might be another good game week for FPL FOMO. Senesi, O'Reilly on the bench. Would be tempted to play O'Reilly, to be honest. Man City defense looks solid. Aston Villa, they have done well recently. Created a lot of chances. I know that Rodgers has been a bit lucky with his brace in game week 17, but there's something telling me that doubling up on Man City against Forest is probably a bit better than doubling up on Chelsea against Aston Villa, even though it's on the bridge. I've been getting green arrows when Haaland scored 2 goals. Yeah, I saw your post about that. That's really, really impressive. But as mentioned, I had periods of seasons where I've gone against the most selected player, and ultimately what you really need is your replacements to do well. Jack, would you buy Anthony Gordon over Rodgers? Yes, I would. I think Anthony Gordon is a bit better than Rodgers. I think Rodgers is kind of chasing points. He has been a bit lucky. But of course, he is a quality player, so you never know. He might do well in game week 18 as well, of course, but I have a feeling that Anthony Gordon potentially is a better FPL asset to own over the next period compared to Rodgers. So if I were to pick between the two, I would go for Anthony Gordon. I want to captain Voltmade, but I'm really afraid from Erling and Ekitike. It's probably safer to go for a captain punt this game week compared to game week 17. Erling Haaland at home against Wolves. We knew that there would be a lot of triple captains on Erling Haaland that game week, so most active FPL managers have probably used their triple captain by now, right? Only 2 game weeks left to play the triple captain. But is Voltmade a better option compared to Erling Haaland and Ekitike? I think that if I were to take a captain punt in game week 18, seeing that you already have Ekitike, I think I would go Ekitike captain, to be honest, if you want to take a punt and go against Erling Haaland. He wasn't a bit lucky, he was very lucky, yeah, probably. It was like 2 goals from 0.15 expected goals, something like that, but really good goals though. And we know that Rodgers, he has those goals in his locker. Started scoring free kicks as well this season. Really good free kick. Can't really remember the game week, but a really great strike from Morgan Rodgers. So I think FPL this team is good to go. Best of luck as always. I really think that the Cole Palmer, getting early in on Cole Palmer is actually a good idea. Talked about this in my Bruno Fernandes replacement video as well. I think that Cole Palmer could be a decent option. We saw that Enzo Maresca, he actually said quite specifically that Cole Palmer is fit to play 90 minutes, but my only worry with Cole Palmer is that, okay, if he plays 90 minutes in game week 18, will he start in game week 19? I'm not 100% sure, but time will tell. I knew you would say play O'Reilly. I think that Shalva is a solid option, but seeing that O'Reilly is on the bench playing against Nottingham Forest, they have struggled to score goals. They failed to score in game week 17 as well, right? Yeah. Fulham kept a clean sheet against Nottingham Forest in game week 17. I knew you would say play O'Reilly. Frankie Shankly bench boost this week with Ruffs, Calvert-Lewin, Chalobah, and Keane on the bench. Happy with 15 plus. That's actually a pretty solid bench boost, to be honest. Sunderland, Calvert-Lewin, really good form. Chalobah, the player that FPL FOMO really wants to start. And you have Michael Keane as well. Yeah, definitely. If you have those players in your squad and haven't used your bench boost, definitely go for it. I am the only one in this point of season still have Tarkovsky or whatever he's called. I think Tarkovsky is still a decent option. So if you have Tarkovsky in your team at this point, he's definitely a keep. The fixtures are really good for Everton. So I think that Michael Keane is probably better value, considering that he is only priced at, is it 4.7? Tarkovsky, at least he started the season at 5.5, so a bit more expensive. I think that this was mostly due to the fact that he historically has had a bit more attacking threat, a bit more nailed on. So I think that Michael Keane is still safe, but what will happen when Branthwaite comes back from injury? Michael Keane will probably be a rotation risk at some point. Tarkowski is definitely nailed on for Everton at the moment. So if you have Tarkowski at this point, I don't think it's worth using a transfer on selling him. There will be a lot of managers transferring in Everton defenders. That's my guess going forward. Hi, would you start Raul Jimenez or Gravenberch this game week? I think, even though the fixture is really, really good for Gravenberch, probably Raul Jimenez, considering that he is on penalties. I think he will start in game week 18 as well. They don't really have any other forward to play at the moment, considering the injury to Rodrigo Muniz. So I'm not a big fan of Raul Jimenez going forward, but I will definitely keep him and start him in game week 18. So on the screen, that's my team at the moment. I still have Bruno Fernandes, but I will sell him tonight. Please go vote in the poll if you haven't done so already. And let me know in the chat if you have any other replacements for Bruno Fernandes. So Cunha, Wirtz, Gordon are all players I'm considering as my Bruno replacement. I have already done Bruno to Rice, and I'm considering taking a hit to sell Vicario Richards or Gibbs White. I really like Bruno to Rice. I think Rice is really good value, so this makes sense. Using a transfer on a goalkeeper, I'm not really sure. I think I would only sell my goalkeeper and use a transfer if this was part of funding another transfer. Vicario can still do well going forward. Tarkowski is really a monster. He always gets the defensive contributions. Yeah, but is he worth it if he only gets defensive contributions and no attacking returns? Of course, if he gets even more clean sheets plus the defcons, is probably worth it, but it's kind of annoying having Tarkowski if Michael Keane at 4.7 can match him, right? Hi, taking a -4 hits, but confused between bringing in Cunha or Wirtz. What do you suggest? I'm kind of in the same boat, to be honest. I will sell Bruno Fernandes. I think it's really close between Wirtz, Cunha, and Anthony Gordon for me. I would probably say that if you have Ekitike, I would go for Cunha. If you don't have Ekitike, I would go for Wirtz. I'm actually leaning towards Anthony Gordon. I mentioned this 20 minutes ago. I'm leaning towards Bruno to Anthony Gordon because this will let me upgrade Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen next game week. Your rank, my rank is 1.4 million. I got my first red arrow in a while in game week 17. Actually, I started the season terribly, so I was like 9.5. I've done well ever since, but in game week, I'm not saying that's my first red arrow, probably my second or third red arrow so far this season, but it's not that hard getting green arrows when you start at 9.5 million, right? So a really, really tough start to the season. Hopefully I can be in the top 1 million really soon and start climbing the ranks. So I've been in the top 1,000 2 times, and actually the best rank when I got 157 in the world this season was actually a really good season from the start. But the thing is that I got My second best rank is like 950 something. This season I actually got a similar start to what I've had this season. A terrible start. I wildcarded in game week 3 that season as well and ended up as 900 in the world. So there's always a chance. Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas to you as well, and thanks for joining in. Cunha is the best Bruno replacement. Guaranteed minutes, good fixtures, and on penalties. Yeah, he's probably on penalties. We haven't really seen this confirmed, but who else would take them? Possibly Mason Mount, Sesko if he's on the pitch. But you're probably right. I also believe that Cunha is on penalties for Man United at the moment. My only worry when it comes to Cunha is the fact that the fixture is not the best in game week 18 playing against Newcastle. They are actually pretty good defensively. And the fact that they are missing 3 of their most creative players in Mbeumo, Ahmad and Bruno Fernandes. How will this affect Man United? I can see Cunha drop really deep into the pitch, picking up the ball, trying to distribute like we saw in some periods for Wolves last season as well. And this is why I'm actually leaning towards Anthony Gordon. Of course, it's a value question as well. So if I decide to go for Anthony Gordon at my Bruno replacement, I can also get Jared Bowen for Raul next game week. Who would you sell for a -4? Vicario, Gibbs White, and Richards. Probably Gibbs White at the moment because he's taking shots, but he's not getting into good positions in the last game weeks. Let's have a quick look at the fixtures as well. Nottingham Forest, they will play against City, Everton, Aston Villa away, West Ham, and then they have Arsenal. So not the best fixtures for Nottingham Forest coming up. So at that price, my first priority will probably be to get rid of Gibbs White. And there are a lot of other good options available. So if you decide to sell Gibbs White, let me know how much you will have for a Gibbs White replacement. Frank Shankly, after Gabriel's injury, I ditched double Gunners defense with Raya in goal. It now seems that it was an okay decision. We'll bring him back as soon as possible. Yeah, definitely going with one Arsenal defender has worked pretty well in the last game weeks. Of course, they kept a clean sheet in game week 17. But the thing is, with Gabriel, he was like, for at least a short period, for 3 to 4 game weeks, he was like getting defensive contributions, attacking returns, and clean sheets. So for non-owners like me at that point, it was really, really frustrating. I actually brought Gabriel in before the game week where he actually got injured. So really, really frustrating. I have been on the wrong side of a couple of those decisions so far this season as well. But hopefully this will turn. Martinez and Casemiro will play in midfield. I saw Martinez, he actually looked pretty decent when he got on last game, right? I think that he has the qualities, at least in some games, to play in midfield as well. Dude, this live stream is great. Your channel is a hidden gem. I have to leave for now, but remember me, I will be here every week. Wow, that's really, really lovely to hear. Thanks for really great feedback and your always welcome to come back. Remember to give the stream a like and subscribe to the channel so we get a reminder for the next one. So there will be a lot of deadlines coming in the next week. So I will have those kind of live Q&As the night before every deadline. So when I find the time, I do deadline streams as well. We'll potentially have one tomorrow, but it's a bit too early to tell. So keep your eyes open if you're interested for a deadline stream tomorrow. There's always a lot of deadline streams, so a lot of competition for those. But I actually had my first video reaching 5,000 views this week, so that's a great milestone for this channel. 5,000 views, and that's like 100 watch time hours, so that was great for the channel. So thanks to everyone who watched that video, and if you're interested in supporting the channel, go watch my team selection videos and players to buy videos as well. Martinez has more positional discipline in the middle than Bruno has. Pisses me off that Amorim is playing Bruno out of position all of the time. So you're not the only Man United supporter that has been a bit pissed on Amorim ever since he joined. I think it's kind of, I'm not sure, but I think it's kind of bad for Man United that Amorim, he always tends to do well in a couple of game weeks, and then all of a sudden a bad spell starts, kind of like we saw in game week 17, right? So after a bad game, Man United, they can have like 2 or 3 really, really good games. It's like the old novel about Jekyll, Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, was it? But I've mentioned this a couple of times. I can potentially see Man United struggle against Newcastle in game week 18. Who is the best Gibbs White replacement outside of Cunha, Phil Foden and Rice? Probably Anthony Gordon. Gordon has such low ownership, only selected by 3% of the managers. Newcastle have some good fixtures coming up, and I think potentially the fixture in game week 18, as mentioned, against Man United can be a good fixture for Newcastle as well. Wirtz starting to look a bit better, starting to find some form. Really good fixtures for Liverpool. They have some injuries, so I think that Wirtz will play most minutes. They have Gakpo out, Alexander Isak out. So Arne Slot, he talked about Ekitike being a bit tired at the end of last game. So of course this goes for Wirtz as well, but I think that Wirtz has the potential to play a lot of games for Liverpool in the upcoming game weeks, and the fixtures looks really good. They will score goals. I know that Wirtz disappointed in the first half of the season, but he's had a bit more time. He has looked better recently. His stats has been better as well in the last 4 game weeks. So Wirtz is definitely one I'm still considering as my Bruno replacement. My only worry with Wirtz and Cunha is the fact that I will have to take a hit to replace Raul Jimenez next game week. So the most straightforward transfers for me is to sell Bruno Fernandes this game week and bring in Anthony Gordon, and this will give me enough funds to upgrade Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen in game week 19. So at the moment, this is what I'm leaning towards. Let's have a quick look at the poll. So Cunha, he is definitely the favorite in the poll. 43%, Wirtz 20%, Anthony Gordon 17%, and others 20%. So go vote in the poll if you have done so already. So I think that Wirtz, Cunha, they are probably the best replacements, but really like Anthony Gordon and the fact that he's only priced at 7.3. I think, let's see, this, just need to scroll. I punted on Cherki, Bruno and Welbeck out to Cherki and Ekitike. What do you think? Really solid. I like the Cherki punt. Considering the form he's in at the moment, I think that he will play a lot of minutes. The only worry with players like him is that he will occasionally be benched, right? And this will be really, really frustrating. But as long as you're aware of the fact that Pep, he always tends to bench some of those players, even though they're in really good form. I think this goes for the likes of Bernardo Silva, Doku, even Phil Foden. I know Phil Foden, he has been really consistent recently, but as a Phil Foden owner for several years, I won't be that disappointed if he all of a sudden is on the bench. So I like the moves. Welbeck out, Bruno Fernandes out, in Ryan Cherki and Ekitike. I think Wirtz is only a 3-week punt. Liverpool get the worst fixtures in the league after that. Yeah. Have kind of the best fixtures in the next 3, and then the fixtures gets a bit tougher for Liverpool. So Liverpool, they have Wolves at home, Leeds at home, Fulham away, before playing away against Arsenal. So probably one of the toughest fixtures in game week 21. But in game week 22, once again, Liverpool with a lovely fixture at home against Burnley. So kind of mixed fixtures, but it wouldn't necessarily heads of game week 18. But fair point, fair point. And because of that, I think, let's see, and Gordon probably won't start the next 4 because they have 4 games in 2 weeks. I guess he plays around 240 minutes out of a possible 400. I said this in my players to buy ahead of game week 18 video as well. I'm not expecting Anthony Gordon to play every minute. I can see a substitution in the 17th minutes, even 60th minute for Anthony Gordon, but 240 out of 400. Hopefully that's a bit harsh. So hopefully if I bring in Anthony Gordon, he will get some more minutes. But I definitely agree, Frag. He will definitely not play 400 out of 400. And United currently have the highest expected goal in the league. He likely take on the same role he had at Wolves. Good points, but Mason Mount, Dalot, will they be able to create as much as we've seen so far this season with Ahmad, Bruno Fernandes, and Bumo? All of those players will miss game week 18, so I totally get where you're coming from, but I think I'm just trying to because I have a plan of upgrading Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen next game week, so I kind of need to talk myself into picking Anthony Gordon. I think I do agree with the fact that Cunha, Wirtz, they are probably better options. Cunha, talisman for Man United, Wirtz at home against Wolves. So The only worry is that they are above 8 million, while Anthony Gordon is only priced at 7.3. Feeling that I'll regret choosing Rodgers over Cunha or Gordon or Bruno, short term anyway. The thing is with Rodgers, he is a really good player. He's like in the same league with Jared Bowen, Van Dijk, Bruno Fernandes when he's not injured. He will play most minutes, right? So it's like when you watch Aston Villa games and you have Rodgers in your FPL team, you're not really that concerned about him being subbed off. You know that he will play close to minutes week in, week out, and he's on free kicks as well. So I definitely don't think that Rodgers is the worst transfer, but I talked about this earlier on the stream as well. I think there are better options, at least on paper, but we might see in game week 2021 that Rodgers actually has outscored Anthony Gordon, Cunha, and Wirtz. Thanks, bro. I have a triple City attack. Fingers crossed, and Merry Christmas to you. All the best for the new year. Thanks a lot for joining in. Best of luck for game week 18, and best of luck with your Man City triple up. Radu Gavluta, would you also sell Vicario and or Richards for additional hits? I think I would just keep them, to be honest. We discussed Richards 20 minutes ago as well. Early reports, there were some concerns about Richards' participation in the World Cup this summer, but this has been played down a bit. So I read a post about Richards possibly being ready for game week 19, possibly 2021. I think we need some more news about Richards before he's a definite sell. He is really good value, and especially if you have Richards in a rotation, I think that he definitely is one to keep. So at that price, he can easily be benched. So I wouldn't take a hit to sell Richards this game week, to be honest. So Frag, I think 70 plus 20 minutes for Anthony Gordon. FPL FOMO, Gordon is like Cole Palmer, still possible to get decent points as a minutes risk. Yeah, we've seen this recently, right? So he hasn't really played that many 90 minutes games. I think ever since he picked up that red card earlier on in the season. By the way, I had Anthony Gordon at that time, of course. Was against Liverpool, wasn't it? Picked up a red card. I think Anthony Gordon got 3 games suspension for the incident. So I kind of agree with both of you. I'm not expecting Anthony Gordon to play 90 minutes week in, week out, but he's kind of similar to Cole Palmer. I definitely agree with FPL FOMO. He's on set pieces, he's on penalties. Newcastle. So it's like Newcastle, especially since last Christmas, probably for the last year, they can be really, really good, and they can play so bad against, like, at home against Sunderland or away against Aston Villa, but at the Old Trafford against Man United, I can't see Newcastle really turning up for this game. So we've seen this, as mentioned, for the last year, that Newcastle, they usually turn up for those big games. 1.4 mil in the bank. Option 1 is Saka to Rice, NGI to Miley, and Guiu to Ekitike. Option number 2 is NGI to Miley, Thiago to Ekitike. I think I would prefer option 1, to be honest. You will get 2 quality players into your team. I think Rice is really good long term. Ekitike is a really good, at least short term. We talked about this. Liverpool fixtures are really good in the next 3 games. Then they have a tough game. about that. So having Ekitike at the moment is probably a really good idea. Rice, really solid as well. You can see that you really want Ekitike, so keeping Thiago. Yeah, option 1 for me. Even though you'll spend an extra free transfer, I think it's worth it. So at the beginning of the stream, we actually discussed Thiago. I think he's a solid option for game week 18. He is actually on the bookies top 3 for anytime goal scorer. So start Vandenberg or Gudmundsson. I think it's close. Vandenberg at home, Rodon away against Sunderland. I'm sorry, Gudmundsson. I think if you don't have any Bournemouth attackers, so if you don't own Semenyo, I would probably start Vandenberg. But if you have Semenyo, I would probably just start Gudmundsson, to be honest. Avoid having your defenders play against your midfielders and forwards. I have a potential problem. If Semenyo are sold to Man City, who would you sell to make way for him? Foden or O'Reilly? The thing is that new players at City, I definitely would give Semenyo a bit of time before transferring him in. We've seen this a couple of times that some of the Pep players, they can just start playing games, but we've seen that some players need sometimes a couple of months before starting games in the Premier League. We saw this with Guardiola as well. So if the transfer from Bournemouth to Man City goes through for Semenyo, he would definitely be a wait and see for me at the moment. Radu Gavriluta, Anthony Gordon, Wirtz or Morgan Rogers to replace Morgan Gibbs-White. I've talked about this a couple of times. I think if you have the available funds, I think I would take the punt on Wirtz. The only reason why I'm leaning towards Anthony Gordon as my Bruno Fernandes replacement is the fact that I really want to upgrade Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen ahead of game week 19. And this will not be possible if I bring in Wirtz. So I need the funds, and this is why I will probably go Anthony Gordon. Who is the best replacement? It's kind of hard to tell. Wirtz with the best fixture. It's actually between Wirtz and Anthony Gordon for me. Aston Villa are the most informed team in Europe, and if they score, Rodgers is going to be involved. Yeah, probably. If you need money, I think Rodgers is a better pick than Gordon. Aston Villa have the best fixtures after Arsenal, and in 5 weeks, Gordon is a must sell. From game week 20, Aston Villa have really good fixtures. Some of the toughest fixtures in the next couple, though. So, is this the right time to bring in Rodgers? I think it's probably worth using a transfer on Anthony Gordon this game week, with potentially a plan to bring in Rodgers in game week 2021. I'm back. Even if you don't need to upgrade Gordon, the best replacement at all. So really mixed opinions in the chat. This only proves that all of them are solid options. It's pretty clearly Cunha is the favorite in the poll. 52% for Cunha, Wirtz 19, Anthony Gordon 14, 16 have voted for other. And just triple captain Timber, go big or go home. I think this potentially can be a really good game week for Timber. I think it kind of relies on Hincapie. Will he play or will he not? So if Timber plays center back, he's not that attacking. But if they can start with both Saliba and Hincapie, then I think Timber will have a really good game at home against Brighton in game week 18. So triple captain Timber. That's ballsy. I definitely hope that Timber will do well. I will pay close attention to Timber. Of course, I have him in my team, so I always pay attention to my players, but I will have this in mind when watching the Arsenal game. Timber, triple captain. So this can potentially be like, if Timber holds in game week 18, this can be like something posted by the official Fantasy Premier League account on X, right? We did really well in one game week early on in the season. Was it game week 1, game week 2? He scored a brace, right? Just like Van de Ven when I benched him. I have 1.4 mil in the bank, 3 free transfers. My team is Raya Dubravka, Van Dijk, O'Reilly, Senesi, Esteve, and Richards in defense. In midfield, Saka, Phil Foden, Cunha, Minte, and NGI, Haaland, Guiu, and Thiago. I have no clue what to do. Please help. So my advice would be to sell NGI. 1.4, NGI 6.5. I think with this team, NGI to Anthony Gordon could be a really good move. NGI to Anthony Gordon and start Haaland, Thiago up front, Guiu on the bench, Richards, Esteve on the bench as well. So he will have to start Minte. Probably not the best option away against Arsenal, but probably you can use 2 free transfers and upgrade one of your defenders as well. Probably in your case, it's a good idea to actually replace Richards. I talked about a couple of times that Richards is actually not a must sell. He can potentially be back, but with this team ahead of game week 18, I would potentially do something like NGI to Anthony Gordon and Richards to Michael Keane, bench Esteve, Minte, and Guiu. Would you do a -4 for Esteve to Keane to use the bench boost? Probably, seeing that Esteve, he is actually a small risk ahead of game week 18. So if Esteve wasn't missing out in game week 17, I would probably just play him, to be honest. Home against Everton. But seeing that he might actually miss out or potentially get some minutes at the end of the game, it's probably worth a -4. But this is the maximum amount of hits I would take to play my bench boost. I've actually seen someone post over on X that they're taking -8 and -12s just to have 15 players on a bench boost, and this usually, at least this is not worth it. So if you get like 12 to 15 players from your bench boost, this is normally counted as a success. So using those points before the game week has even started, your bench boost is almost doomed to be a fail. Do you think Hinkapie will play? I'm hoping that Hinkapie will play, and he's in the predicted starting lineup for Arsenal, so I don't own him, but I really hope that he will start so Timber can play. On the right, Frag Cunha is the best replacement. Number 2 is Rodgers, and number 3 is Rice. I definitely agree. I haven't put Rodgers and Rice in. I think Cunha probably the best Bruno replacement. I would definitely have Rice ahead of Rodgers. I didn't put Rice in the poll, and this is mostly because I already have Rice in my team, to be honest. So Cunha, Rice, Wirtz, and Anthony Gordon, and Rodgers would be my top 5 Bruno replacements. My bench is terrible. I have Anton Stach from Leeds, probably. Cash from Aston Villa and Harry Wilson. And I still have the bench boost. Ooh. So we have to use your bench boost in game week 18 or game week 19. So you probably should set up a game week 19 bench boost. Cash playing against Arsenal in game week 19, so that's definitely not the best fixture for Cash as well. My bench is terrible. I have Start one, Thiav or Harry Wilson. I would start Harry Wilson, to be honest. I think that he will most probably start. He might be rested, of course. He picked up a knock in game week 17, but playing away against Man United at the Old Trafford. So even though Man United, they will miss a couple of players for this fixture, but I know Thiav has some attacking threat, but I definitely think that Harry Wilson, he was actually the most transferred in player ahead of game week 17. So even though he blanked, I would definitely start him ahead of Thiav in game week 18. Where are you overall in the world at FPL? I haven't really checked the Hall of Fame so far this season. I was really high up. Let's have a look. The last couple of seasons hasn't been that great, but let's have a quick look. I was really had a really good rank at the overall Hall of Fame for some seasons. But as you can see, the last couple of seasons hasn't been that great. Ever since Erling Haaland joined the Premier League, I have kind of been on the wrong side of the Haaland versus Salah conundrum. Would you sell Saka to fund a move to Ekitiki? Not necessarily, because I have the option to do this myself, but I have decided to avoid taking hits to do it. I only have 2 free transfers. I can easily get Ekitiki in, but I think for the home game against Brighton, it's not like Saka is injured, right? So he might potentially take the next penalty for Arsenal as well, even though he gave one away to Gyökeres in game week 17. So if you have like 4 to 5 free transfers, possibly Saka to Rice to upgrade a forward to Ekitiki. But I would not do it for a hit. I played my bench boosts in game week 1 for 17 points. I'm tempted to get rid of it as soon as he gets to the chips again. Yeah, I've seen this being a popular strategy. My advice with the second bench boost is definitely to wait for a double game week. We will get more information about this soon. So if you go check the fixture list, nothing is updated. We don't really have any concrete information about the double game weeks yet. But what we know is that the teams that reach the semifinals of the FA Cup, they will most probably have a blank and a double game weekend. We might get more. So last season, I think the 24-25 season was possibly the season with the least double game weeks in a while. So we will at least get as many double game weeks as we saw in 24-25. So my advice with the second set of chips is to be a bit patient, wait for updates on the blanks and the doubles. So historically, using a free hit in a blank game week is probably usually a smart tactic while playing your triple captain and bench boost in a double game week. On the bench, I have Harry Wilson, Elliot Anderson, and Thiago. So if you have Harry Wilson, Elliot Anderson, and Thiago on the bench, I would definitely play the bench boost, to be honest. If you're not playing your bench boost, I would at least have Thiago first on the bench. So where are you overall at FPL? I'm not really sure. I haven't really checked. I will go check some of the live sites, see if I can get an update. But I was really good. Was like top 50, I guess, some seasons ago. But as you can see on the screen, last couple of seasons, I haven't really been that great. Been experimenting a bit too much, and I've gotten on the wrong side of the Salah versus Erling Haaland. So I don't really like having them both in my team. So every time I've gone against one of them and picked the other one, it has usually been the one not in my team doing really well. It's under the Fulham centre back. Well, considering the fact that they play against West Ham, it's not the worst fixture, even though I can potentially see West Ham score. But of course, Fulham, they can't keep a clean sheet against West Ham. So with the potential of defensive contribution points for Joachim Andersen, it's probably worth playing the bench boost this game week. The fact that you have to play your bench boost this game week or next game week, I think, seeing that you most probably have 15 players 15 starters in your squad, it's probably a good idea to play the bench boost. So we might get suspensions, we might get injuries, quick turnaround between game week 18 and game week 19 as well. So yeah, my advice would be to just play the bench boost in game week 18. I haven't really remembered to check this one, so please send reminders in the chat if you send your team on X. So this is Frag's team. Let's have a look. Going to use my last transfer to get Grealish for King for my bench boost. Wow, let's have a look. So Raya Ingle double up with Timber, Van Dijk, O'Reilly, Alderete with a decent fixture as well. Rodgers is in, Cunha, Phil Foden, Thiago, Ekitike, and Erling Haaland. So a really strong starting 11. And on the bench boost, we will get Dubravka, Rodon, Minte, and not Josh King. It will most probably be Jack Grealish. So definitely a really solid bench boost. And can I guarantee a green arrow? I'm pretty sure this will be a green arrow, at least for game week 18. Definitely, if Ekitike can outscore Erling Haaland, I would say that this is most likely a guaranteed green arrow for game week 18. Another question, in my second account, I have Harry Wilson, Minte, Esteve, and Dubravka on the bench. Should I bench boost? My only worry with that second account's bench is that potentially you might actually have two players out. Harry Wilson, he is a small doubt. I think he will start, but at least he is yellow flagged. It will be a surprise, of course, in this form if Harry Wilson doesn't start for Fulham. But the thing is that Esteve is a small doubt as well. So we have two doubts on the bench. So I would probably play my bench boost in game week 18 with your first team, but potentially wait until game week 19 to get a bit more information with your second team, to be honest. All transfers gone. I have a similar setup as yourself, with Anderson as my fifth, Elliot Anderson as my fifth midfielder and 3 strikers. Playing Wilson this week, but want to move him on. Have Cunha, Saka, Phil Foden, have 7.4. Who do I pick? So, seeing that you have 7.4 for replacement, that probably screams Anthony Gordon, doesn't it? I might actually transfer in Anthony Gordon as my Bruno Fernandes replacement myself. So let's get the transfer options back on. Oops. Frankie Shankly, approximately 316k at the moment, mostly because I never had Salah this season, I guess. I think going without Mo Salah, like, I thought about this with FPL FOMO's team. So having no Salah this season is definitely a really good thing, because those funds are hopefully being used in a better way than having Mo Salah stink up your team, right? So Alan captain every game week and triple captain last game week. Never had any luck with that before in over 12 years. Nice. So hopefully you can keep on pushing. 316k at this point is pretty solid. So if you can have some patience with your second set of chips, wait for information. Try to time the double game weeks that we know at some point will come. Can you rate my team? Paul, definitely. Did you send a team over on X? Okay, let's have a look. Should I send on X or say FPL ID? Definitely up to you. So if you send your team selection on X, it will be your game week 18 team selection. If you post your team ID in the chat, I will only be able to see your game week 17 score, but definitely it's possible to discuss your team by having a look at your game week 17 score as well. So that's up to you. Filip Tomovic, my team: goalkeeper Sanchez, in defense O'Reilly, Anderson and Timber. In midfield Cunha, Wirtz, Saka, Rice and Phil Foden. Up front Haaland, Thiago. Thoughts on team and playing Senesi instead of Anderson? Bournemouth away against Brentford. Fulham away against West Ham. I think seeing that you have Thiago, I would definitely bench Senesi, Philip. So Senesi, will probably have him first on the bench. Other than this, the team looks really good. Of course, the glaring omission, as we've seen, been so popular, transferred in by over 1 million FPL managers. Ekitike, not in your team as well. I don't have him myself, so I'm really hoping that Ekitike can stay quiet, and if he does, it might be a really good game week for the managers that trust Igor Thiago in game week 18. So yeah, I think this team is good to go. How many transfers do you have, and how much in the bank? I really like this midfield. Cunha, Wirtz, I like both of them, and they are probably the best Bruno Fernandes replacements. Saka is in. Rice is a really good option as well, and Phil Foden. So really powerful midfield. Cunha, Wirtz, Saka, Rice, Phil Foden. Solid team. So my plans is to sell Bruno Fernandes. Next game week, I'm really interested in bringing in Jared Bowen. So Jared Bowen. So if I decide to go for the Jared Bowen game week 19 plan, I only have, let's see, 7.7 million for Bruno Fernandes replacement. And this is one of the reasons why I like Anthony Gordon, right? I'm not saying that Anthony Gordon definitely is a much better option compared to Cunha, compared to Wirtz. Philip, thank you. No transfers and 0.4 in the bank, so not really any room to move. I would definitely avoid a hit and play that team. Bench Senesi, I think you're good to go. Hopefully you'll get a green arrow in game week 18. You can check my team now. Okay, let's see. I guess you posted on X. Perfect. So this is Palm's team, Dubravka, starting Dubravka in goal, seeing that you have Verbruggen as your second goalkeeper, or usually your first goalkeeper, that probably makes sense. Dubravka against Everton, seeing that you don't have any attackers from Everton, I support this. Saliba in defense, Alderete, O'Reilly, Van Dijk, so strong defense. Wirtz is in, Phil Foden, yellow flagged Wilson. You already have Ekitike in as your captain as well. Really like that punt. And you have Erling Haaland and Jared Bowen. I really like this team. It looks like you played your wildcard recently because you have a couple of those players that's really in demand at the moment. Jared Bowen, Ekitike, Wirtz is in. Unfortunately, I used all of my transfers early, so this is your team pretty much locked in, right? So really hoping that Wilson will start. You have Luis Miley on the bench as well. He has gotten good minutes recently, so it might not be the end of the world if Wilson misses out. But I haven't seen any concrete confirmation about Wilson definitely being out this game week. So my guess is that Wilson will get minutes in game week 18. But as mentioned, I haven't really seen anything concrete about it. But he got kind of a knock when he picked up the yellow card right at the end of that Fulham against Nottingham Forest game in game week 17. I actually watched that game and I was kind of sorry to all Harry Wilson owners, not because of the injury, but because of the yellow card. I was kind of relieved that he actually picked up a yellow card. He was the most transferred in player in game week 17. I was a bit afraid of him hauling once again in game week 17, but picked up a yellow card, picked up an injury as well, but I think he will be fine for game week 18. So I think this team is probably good to go. I'm thinking to get Anthony Gordon for Bruno in game week 19 and Rodgers for Harry Wilson in game week 20. What do you think about that? Really, really good. I would avoid a hit, so just keeping Bruno Fernandes, it's probably the best play. We will have a bit more information after game week 18 as well, right? Seeing that you gone early with your transfer. So for team value, going early is of course really good, but when it comes to those kind of situations like with Bruno Fernandes, that's the price we have to pay for going early with the transfers. So hopefully Harry Wilson will start. Hopefully Lewis Miley can cover if you need it. And Bruno Fernandes to Anthony Gordon next game week is probably a really good move. I like Anthony Gordon for game week 18 as well. Have to say this, but for a -4, I would probably just save the transfer. Seeing that the team value that you earned on going early, you'll probably lose at least 0.1 on Bruno Fernandes. But I think it's definitely worth to, I think information, especially from game week 19 and onwards, the second half of the season, I think that information is really valuable. Hey, I posted my team on Twitter under your post for this with, please advise. Read or dead, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Seeing that you're a United fan, this can potentially be your team. Red or dead, yeah. Cantona, kicker, let's see. Mm-hmm. I think this will be the best shot of your team, probably. There we go. You can check my team. Unfortunately, I used all my free transfers early, thinking, okay, so, this was the old messages from Palm. Hey, I posted my team on Twitter under your post for this with, please advise. So let's have a look. Raya is in goal, O'Reilly, Keane, Timber in defense, Phil Foden, Cunha, Harry Wilson once again, and we have Saka, Allen, Ekitiki, and Thiago. So familiar names, a really solid team. We have Elliot Anderson, Gudmundsson on the bench as well. I think this team looks pretty good to go, to be honest. Strong defense with a double up on Arsenal with Raya and Timber. I can see them keep a clean sheet against Brighton at home. They are not the favorites this week. They're actually second. Liverpool are actually the favorites to keep a clean sheet in game week 18. So in the graphics on the right hand side, you can actually see the bookies prediction for anytime, goal scorer, and clean sheets as well. So Arsenal at home against Brighton, 44% chance of a clean sheet. So having double Arsenal defense this game week is probably a good idea. So O'Reilly is in, Michael Keane against Burnley, really solid. Phil Foden, Cunha, Wilson, Saka, Hallen, Ekitiki, and Thiago. Can't really fault this team. Solid bench as well. I think this team is definitely good to go. But let's see. So with 8.1 in the bank and only one free transfer, I definitely think this team is a save ahead of game week 18. I really like this team. Cunha is in, so if Harry Wilson is fit to play against West Ham, this can potentially be a really good game week for Red or Dead. How focused are you on price changes? I have been buying players prematurely just because of that. 105.5 in team value at the moment. Some stupid transfers because of that, it must be said. So it's like I pay attention to the price changes, especially in the first weeks of the season. So if I have an injured player, so if I had Bruno Fernandes in game week 1 or game week 2, I would potentially go a bit earlier than the day before the deadline. But as mentioned some minutes ago, especially after game week 19, I think that information is more valuable compared to team value. So it's like team value, of course, can be an advantage, but in the end, it's just like when we play our second wildcard, you can afford having Van Dijk instead of Konate, or you will have to get Keane instead of Pickford as your Everton defender, or you have to pick O'Reilly instead of Guardiola. So it's probably not that much in it. It looks really good and it feels good avoiding having players that drop in price, and it feels good having players that you know will rise in price as well. But at the end of the day, I think information is probably more valuable than team value. At least that's how I play the game. Yeah, 1.8 and 1 free transfer with this team. I would definitely just save that transfer and have 2 free transfers heading into game week 19. So let's see. So this is my team at the moment. I actually don't have Jared Bowen in my team. It's actually Raul Jimenez. I will start and play Raul Jimenez in game week 18. The only reason why Jared Bowen is in, because my plan is to do Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen, so that's why I transferred in Jared Bowen now provisionally, so I can see how much funds I have for a midfield replacement. So I have 7.7 in the bank for a Bruno replacement, and this is the reason why I'm actually leaning towards Anthony Gordon instead of Cunha or Wirtz. So my plan this game week is to sell Bruno Fernandes and bring in Anthony Gordon. What's your rank? My rank at the moment is 1.4 million. So not the best. I said this a couple of times already. I started this season horrible. I was like 9.5 after the first game week. A couple of decisions went wrong in game week 1. I had the likes of Saka, Cole Palmer, both got injured. I had Konsa, picked up a red card in game week 1. Jared Bowen was my captain against Sunderland. And Sunderland, they actually did really well against West Ham in game week 1. I think Sunderland won this game 2-0. kept a clean sheet. Was it the game week where Ballard actually scored, got like close to 20 points? Are you making the move today? I think I will make the move right now, to be honest. Anthony Gordon. The Jared Bowen, as mentioned, I will not sell Raul Jimenez. Let's see. Restore. I will not sell Raul Jimenez this game week. I will just start Raul and hope that he does well against West Ham. But Bruno Fernandes out will definitely happen, so why not do it tonight? So actually we only have one game on Boxing Day on the 26th of December. It will be Man United playing against Newcastle. No Liverpool player. I know. And this is why it's kind of hard. The only midfielder from Liverpool I want at the moment is actually Wirtz. If I decide to bring in Wirtz, I cannot afford Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen next game week. So I think it's really close between the players in the poll, Cunha, Wirtz, and Anthony Gordon for me. But the fact that getting Anthony Gordon in will let me upgrade Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen next game week. I think this edges it for me, to be honest. I will be behind the sofa, of course, for Liverpool's game at home against Wolves. Hopefully some of the less owned players will score for Liverpool in game week 18. Thoughts about Schade? I think Schade is a decent player. He will get chances, but the thing is that actually a couple of game weeks ago when making a free hit video, I actually checked out Schade's price. I was a bit surprised seeing how expensive he actually is. So let's see. He's actually priced at 7 million, so it's close to Anthony Gordon, not on penalties. We know Thiago will take the penalties for Brentford, so on free hits, when Brentford have really good fixtures, Schade, yes, using a transfer or bringing Schade in on a free hit or on a wildcard, sorry. I'm not really sure at 7 million, to be honest. Thanks for the advice. Always want the shiny new toy, especially at Christmas. But I think that Wilson to Gordon next week is the move. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, probably selling Wilson next game week might be a good idea. Said this a couple of times. I would just hold Harry Wilson. He will most probably play unless we get any information about him definitely missing out on Friday or Saturday. Losing track of time when it's Christmas and days off work. But most teams will play on Saturday in game week 28. On the 26th is only Man United playing against Newcastle. And then we have 7 games on the 27th, and we have 2 games on Sunday. Sunderland against Leeds and Crystal Palace against Spurs. So I will not have... I just realized I will not have many players in action on Sunday 28th. Sunderland, Leeds, potentially Rodon. I have no Crystal Palace players. I have Van de Ven. but he will probably be on my bench. Do you think Ekitike will take the penalty if Liverpool get one this game week? Yes, I actually think that he will. So I think Mo Salah is first. It's probably Alexander Isak, Soboslai, and Ekitike, at least from what I've read. Take a hit to sell Bruno Fernandes or just play Senesi. I think it kind of depends if you have Igor Thiago or not. If you will start Igor Thiago in game week 18, I would probably take the hit. But if you don't have any Brentford attackers, I think I would just play Senesi and avoid the hit. Hope that Brentford blanks against Bournemouth. The thing is with Senesi is that, of course, even though if Brentford scores, he can get 4 points, which is pretty decent because of the defensive contributions. So I'm not sure if it's worth a -4. So if you have Thiago, it might be worth taking a hit, but if you don't have any Brentford midfielders or forwards, just start Senesi. So my Bruno Fernandes replacement, it looks like it will be Anthony Gordon. I'm really close to just pull the trigger. One of the reasons why I will go Anthony Gordon, for new listeners, one of the reasons why I'm going for Anthony Gordon is the fact that he is really good value, only priced at 7.3. So if I go for Anthony Gordon, I can do Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen in game week 19. So I think Cunha, I think Wirtz, really, really good options. I would, of course, like to have a Liverpool player for the Liverpool fixture at home against Wolves next game week, or this game week 18. Don't do it. Kind of conflicting views in the chat. Don't do it. Yes, Gordon is the best replacement. I think I'm kind of in the middle of both of you because I don't necessarily see him as definitely the best option. I think both Cunha and Wirtz are really viable options as well. The fact that he's priced at 7.3 is probably the thing that edges it for me. And as mentioned, the fact that this will let me upgrade Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen next game week. I'm a bit worried about Raul Jimenez. He has played a lot of minutes recently and quick turnaround between game week 18 and game week 19. So I can't potentially see Raul Jimenez start in game week 18, but then being benched in game week 19. So there will never be 100% certainty. I will bring him in next game week from Palm D. On long term, he is good. Definitely, I think all of them are probably solid options. You are going to get a 20 minutes game. Don't think he'll start in game week 18, really? I haven't really thought about Anthony Gordon not starting, to be honest, but you might be right, of course. Will be a huge disappointment if Gordon gets 20 minutes and 1 point, while both Cunha, Wirtz, does well. I sold Mateta to Ekitiki for a hit, expecting a Mateta hold. That would be classic FPL. Always that doubt after deed is done. Yeah, I think at least on paper that transfer makes sense, at least considering the fixtures for Liverpool. The other option would be to not take a hit and instead just get Jared Bowen, but I would have no Liverpool attack from Brazilian skill. Let's see that first message. Is it worth taking a -4, potentially more, to get rid of Welbeck, Eze, Anderson, Senesi, to get Ekitiki, Keane, Gakpo, Cunha? I see reasoning in terms of better fixtures and high ownership. I'm really sorry I got this message about a bad connection. Hopefully it's fixed. I got a question from Brazilian skill. Let's just give a quick answer to this. Brazilian skill. Is it worth taking a -4? Potentially more, to get rid of Welbeck, Eze, Anderson, Senesi, to get in Ekitiki, Michael Keane, and maybe Gakpo, Cunha. So I started to say that Gakpo, I would definitely avoid Gakpo. So if it's a 50-50 between Gakpo and Cunha, I would definitely go Cunha. I don't necessarily see taking a hit for selling Anderson if it's the Fulham centre back to Michael Keane for a hit. I think I would avoid this, to be honest, but if you have the funds available to do Welbeck and Eze to Ekitiki and Cunha, I would probably go for it. Gordon will start this game, no doubt in my mind, from Nixie. Philip, maybe it's best to do Wirtz now and Foltmother next game week instead of Jared Bowen, unless you're 100% sure you want Jared Bowen and have the funds. So instead of going for Anthony Gordon and Jared Bowen, Wirtz and Foltmother, let's see if that's possible. So at the moment I have Raul and Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes will most probably be gone in game week 18. Let's see. Bruno Fernandes to Wirtz. And then we have Raul to Foltmother. I'm actually 0.1. I actually can't afford Wirtz and Foltmother at the moment. I have 2 free transfers, but I actually have 0 in the bank after making my transfers in game week 16. So Wirtz and Foltmother, 2 solid options. I saw that Foltmother, he was actually close to a price rise, and it will probably be going up in price tonight as well. So if I were to use 2 free transfers, I would have to take a hit on something like Elliot Anderson to 4.3 Devaney, something like that. So I'm not sure if Wirtz Foltmother for a -4 is better than Anthony Gordon and Jared Bowen. I think I prefer Anthony Gordon, Jared Bowen plus 4 points, to be honest. I like this suggestion though. Wirtz Foltmother could be a good combination, but unfortunately I can't afford it. Is Anthony Gordon better than Cunha? Not necessarily. I think Cunha is a really, really good option ahead of game week 18. He will be the talisman for Man United, potentially on penalties as well. I'm a bit worried about Man United's output without Mbeumo, without Ahmad, without Bruno Fernandes. But Cunha, he will, as mentioned in the chat earlier, he will potentially play like he did for Wolves last season. So I think Cunha is a really interesting option ahead of game week 18. Is he better than Anthony Gordon? He might very well be. The reason why I'm really considering Anthony Gordon is the fact that he is a bit cheaper, so I can actually afford to upgrade Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen next game week. Good luck, everyone, and thanks for the good tips. Dinner time, just subscribed as well. So thanks for joining in. Thanks for subscribing, and have a great dinner, and best of luck for game week 18. Best defender choice for game week 19 for 4.8 million or less. I would definitely go for, I think Michael Keane from Everton looks really, really good on paper, especially from game week 19. I think from game week 18 as well, he's probably the best option. Anderson, Fulham centre back, is still decent. Van Hecke, solid if he will play in game week 18 as well. He actually missed out in game week 17, so pay attention to that. I think Vandenberg from Brentford is solid. So there are a lot of good options at the moment. So let's have a quick look on the price rises. I might actually wait until tomorrow. So Ekitike, he is going up in price. It looks like Reece James, it will be really close for Reece James. He might rise in price tonight, but potentially this can happen tomorrow as well. So Ekitike definitely going up in price. Let's see if there are any interesting fallers. Igor Thiago will probably go down. Munoz as well. So if you still haven't sold Munoz, if you don't want to lose any value, he should be transfer to consider. So let's have a look at my players. Bruno Fernandes. So Bruno Fernandes, he will not drop this evening. Anthony Gordon will not rise. Wirtz will stay the same. Cunha will most probably rise tomorrow. So decision made for this evening. I will probably just wait until tomorrow by my transfer plans. At the moment, I will most probably sell Bruno Fernandes, but after taking a quick look at the price change sites, Bruno Fernandes, he will not drop, and my replacements for Bruno will not rise. So I will give this a couple of more hours. It's starting to get late, so this stream is soon coming to an end, but I will definitely post my team ahead of the deadline. So let's see. I actually don't have Wirtz and Voltmade, even though it looks like I do. So Wirtz is actually Bruno Fernandes. Voltmade is Raul Jimenez. So to sum this up in the poll, we have Cunha. He is the favorite. 57% Cunha as the Bruno replacement. Wirtz on 16, Gordon on 13, and 14% have voted for another player. So even though Anthony Gordon is the least favorite, in the poll. I'm actually leaning towards bringing in Anthony Gordon tomorrow, because if I decide to go for Anthony Gordon, I can upgrade Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen in game week 19. So if I go for Wirtz, really good fixture at home against Wolves, or if I go for Cunha, really easy replacement for Bruno Fernandes, and Cunha is probably on penalties. So I like all of them, to be honest. I think just that the question about the funds available after bringing in Gordon, this will probably swing it for me, to be honest. So none of the interesting players will go up or down in price tonight. So I was actually pretty close to just sell Bruno and bring in Anthony Gordon, but my decision is made for this evening. I will just wait until tomorrow. I will try to set up a deadline stream tomorrow. It will not be like an actual deadline stream, because I'm having dinner at some in my family tomorrow evening, so I will not be able to do a deadline stream at the actual deadline, but I will try to set up something earlier tomorrow to discuss the latest news and make my transfer. So if you're interested in joining that one, that will be great. I would really appreciate it if you give this stream a like and subscribe to the channel for more streams like this. I usually do a Q&A the night before the deadline, like this one. I do deadline streams as well when I find the time, and I post weekly team selection videos and players to buy ahead of every game week. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks all for joining in, and if I don't see you tomorrow, hopefully you'll have a great weekend and green arrows in game week 18. So once again, thanks all for joining in, and subscribe to the channel for more FPL content. So for those celebrating Christmas, happy Christmas. And hopefully all of you will get green arrows for game week 18, and hopefully I'll see